Backbreaker is, in our opinion, the first sports game that is truly live. Whatever you see on the field hasn't happened before and won't happen again. And the way we achieve that is we use euphoria to actually calculate the action on the fly. So that means that you can't predict the gameplay anymore, but it also means that everything becomes much more intense. And what we've done with Backbreaker is add to that a third-person camera. We don't really want to chase a broadcast experience that's already done very well by other games. What we try and do is take you onto the field and make it feel like you are actually a player on the field.
You are down low, you are in the action, you'll see the tackles.
All the interactions and all the things you didn't expect are happening right around you, as opposed to you feeling quite detached and looking down on them.
You're not this kind of god over the football field who can see everything.
Some people have kind of thrown their hands up and go, wow, this is sacrilege. You know, I've been playing football games for 20 years and I've never seen this before. This camera view is something that we've been planning from day one. It's not something that can be retrofitted to you know, a game that's been designed already. You know, this is something that was important to us right from the outset.
The live element comes from the fact that obviously we have euphoria in the game and literally anything can happen. It's not pre-scripted, it's not canned animation.
Euphoria gives you the opportunity to do anything. I think where if you're just using pure mocap, it's all very, although it's not necessarily scripted, it's all sequential. Where Euphoria, it can do anything. We can, at any point, we can do a tackle, do a catch, do a block, we can fall over, get up, do anything.
The Euphoria engine allows the game to create these real, live, dynamic, on-the-fly tackles that you'll never see in any other kind of game.
It's a lot about the game doing things you didn't anticipate, but the simulation can accommodate, and the player's reaction to that. I think that's one thing that other games can't do.
One of the things that impressed me most is the interaction between the offensive and the defensive line. It's not just the tackles that are different. Every battle on the offensive line is different, and every individual matchup changes from play to play. And that's something you'll never see on another football game.
One of the things that was important for us with Backbreaker was to make it as easy to play as possible.
It was designed to be a pick up and play game from the outset. One thing we really sort of wanted to avoid with traditional football games is you generally have abstract events mapped to numerous different kinds of buttons, which it's not as though they don't make sense, but it's not something you can gauge immediately when you're playing it, and we didn't really want the player to look through a 4 or 5 page manual to find out how to juke or how to spin. So the philosophy from the start was we'd look at the physical action of the player on the field. So if you imagine he's juking right, and we'd literally take that and map it to the stick. So a juke right would be a right movement on the right stick, or a spin would be a rotation of the right stick. And what we want to do, and hopefully what we've achieved, is the player could almost guess, anticipate what the controls would be just by looking at the action they want to perform.
Sport in real life gets you those kind of unique, exciting moments that you never see in video games. The revolutionary aspect of Backbreaker using Euphoria is that it enables the game to recreate these incredibly intense, exciting, sporting moments.
Backbreaker is the first sports game that uses Euphoria. Euphoria is our technology that allows us to simulate human movement in real time. We do that by simulating the body of the character, in this case the player, the muscles and the nervous system. That means that all the characters using Euphoria are fully interactive. Euphoria originally started as a university research project at Oxford University, where we were trying to simulate how humans and how animals move in real time. We ended up with very simple creatures learning how to walk in a very wobbly fashion. But already at that point it was clear to us that these characters were truly interactive. They weren't just canned animations anymore.
So Euphoria is using the game to handle the interactions between the players, rather than just play a pre-canned animation, which is taken from a large library. Euphoria actually calculates the interactions between the players, so it happens on the fly. As developers, we sometimes don't know ourselves what's actually going to happen, which makes it so exciting.
All of Euphoria is based around the concepts of behaviors. So we replace hundreds of tackle animations with one tackle behavior. And that behavior is actually a real-time simulation of the motor nervous system, obviously simplified so it can run fast enough on a console, but it essentially is an active simulation of what the character is trying to do.
The euphoria agents are all autonomous, so essentially they, to an extent, make their own decisions. The downside of that is they'll sometimes do things that we don't want them to. So if you're using a game which uses mo-capture, pre-canned animations, we could literally just not put an animation there that has, for example, grabbing a face mask. But with euphoria agents, we've got to tell them specifically not to do that. As with everything in euphoria, gang tackles, because it's interactions, will just happen. It doesn't matter if it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 guys involved in a gang tackle. The system can just deal with it.
Because Backbreaker is a physical simulation, events such as tipping the ball or batting the ball can happen just naturally. Because you know, if you put your arm up and you're in the way of the ball, you will hit it.
And then someone can pick it up. Someone can, you know, get an interception from it. A receiver can grab it and make the yards. It just happens because of euphoria.
I'm a huge video game sports fan. I've been playing football games and basketball games and soccer games for years. I think people are going to pick this game up. They're going to experience what euphoria offers, and it's going to be really hard for them to go back and just, you know, play a normal sort of canned animation sports game again.
Backbreaker differs from other sports titles in that it doesn't use the usual top-down camera. That was a conscious decision that we made some time ago because we wanted to bring you right into the action rather than looking at the action from 20 feet above.
It was important to us to try and really recreate the sensation and the feeling, the emotion and the incredible action and violence that comes with a real football game. One of the benefits of having this down on the field camera view is that it really makes plays like when you're playing as the quarterback, like the passing mechanic, feel really natural. And you're just scanning the field. You pick out that receiver that you want to pass to and you make that pass. It really feels like you're down there right in the action.
We chose the on-the-field view because it suits the style of gameplay we're going for. Coupled with the euphoria technology, you actually feel like you made that tackle. You know, you hit someone and the camera, you know, it jerks and you see everything happen. You really feel the impact.
Especially when you're sacking the quarterback and you blindside him. There was one I had the other day where I barge tackled into him from my shoulder and you just saw his whole spine bend back and his head go back, you know, with whiplash, and it was just such a big hit. And again, if you're far back, you would never get that. You wouldn't see the detail. If the pocket starts to collapse as well, you actually see it in front of you. You start to panic.
It's actually quite scary.
Yeah, and you know, you want to scramble, you want to throw the ball away, you want to make that quick pass. You wouldn't get that if the camera's up so high. You wouldn't have essentially the emotional attachment to it because you're not down on the field. I think the other thing is when you're engaged in a block and we tilt the camera slightly and you know you're actually physically engaged with that guy, and through the camera work what we do is we track the ball carrier, so although you can see the guy you're blocking against, you try to get around him, we always frame the ball carrier so you always know where you want to go to.
Backbreaker is really intense as it is. You know, you can be a linebacker and you go piling in for the blitz on the quarterback. But if he makes that pass, the game's not over. You can switch. You just tap a button and you're instantly swapped as the best player at the time. It might be the safety, it might be another linebacker.
Or if you're on the defensive line, you want to sack the quarterback, but you miss, he passes the ball, no problem. Switch to the safety, take him down. Now that we have this camera, I think it's quite apparent that we would never want to go back anyway. You know, if you're charging down the sidelines and you're about to get a touchdown, it just feels so much more real. Especially if there's a guy behind you and you slowly see his shadow creep up, you know, and there's that anticipation of, am I going to get there? Am I going to get there?
Totally, yeah.
Do I want to showboat? Do I have enough time to do that? It just makes it so much more intense. It just makes it so much more exciting.
It also makes you jump out your skin when a safety comes across and wipes you out just when you're about to score the touchdown.